Okay. Interview. Take one.
All right, is everybody ready? Ready?
Yeah, they love it.
Jelani was an easy child to raise. Of course, he was my firstborn, so he was spoiled. But he was a very low-key kid. He wasn't an outgoing, gregarious child. He was very polite, very respectful. Uh, he liked to play with his toys. He was really interested in technology. His favorite was Atari. He used to love his Atari. And he liked books. He used to love books.
Jelani was a nice kid. He was quiet, very respectful, and he was just enjoyable to raise as a son.
Growing up with Jelani was really fun. We grew up on the south side of Chicago. We spent a lot of time hanging out with our friends on the block, and our house was pretty much the hangout. And Jelani and I also spent a lot of time just together. We didn't have all the technology and things that kids have today, so we really had to spend time with each other, playing with toys, watching TV, playing board games. He was probably, I would say, creative even at a younger age. He took piano and I took dance. But he always loved to write, so it really doesn't surprise me that he went into pursuing his love for music because his mind was always creative. So he always kept a notebook with him, and little you know, along the way he was keeping a compilation of lyrics, things that were coming up for him that he turned from poetry into rap lyrics.
So I'm the baby of 3, and Jelani is actually 13 years older than me. So I didn't get a chance to grow up with him as a child. But by the time I grew up, he was already out of the house. But one thing that I will say is that spending time with him, he's always been interested in music, specifically rap music. He introduced me to one of my favorite songs, which I probably should not have been listening to as a child, but whatever. Regulate, that's one of my favorite songs, and I would always get in the car and I'm like, Jelani, you have to play Regulate, you have to play Regulate. And we would be in there rapping along with each other while we were driving around. But he's always just been very chill. He's just very chill, very in his own lane, very in his own way. But that's what I remember most, is even though he wasn't in the house when I was growing up, it was when he would come pick me up or we would go somewhere, we would always find something to listen to or some type of music to have.
Yeah, another page into the book of a writer, light of the city, gritty rhymes, get it. My hustle committee about to cash in. When it pop off, we celebrating, pouring out a little liquor for niggas that never made it. I'm a frontliner, never minding the opposition I was getting. An addict for static and competition. Hard times make the victory sweeter. Rainy days make the grass greener. Got me ready, get mad, eager. Reefer clouds still cover for brothers just trying to cope for a line of coke. Brothers say fuck it and try to find a rope. That's who I'm fighting for. Making music and a silent war. Swear I got their back like a spinal cord. When it's time to face off, I won't take a loss. I keep a razor sharp, time to rip the game apart. I represent the new breed. Lyrics with a kick, they be calling me the Bruce Lee of loose leaf. You ready?
Time to go to work.
Are you tracking it in now? Are you ready?
You all ready?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's make sure everything is set up in the other room.
I actually didn't see signs of him showing interest in music in his early childhood. When he became a teenager is when it really became apparent that he was interested in music. He used to write a lot of lyrics. His favorite, of course, was rap. He liked old school music. But it was around his teenage years that he really started showing a real interest in music that I can recall. I don't remember when he was younger. It was like more Atari, he was Boy Scouts, karate, things of that sort. But it really wasn't until he went to high school that he started really showing an interest in music from my perspective that I could see.
So when Jelani started actually going public with his passion for music, it was really a great experience just to be able to see him on stage in his element. He was like a different person because he was quiet as a child, but on stage he lit up like he was just a totally different person. I also got to benefit from his experiences performing. A few times I was able to use my dance skills, and a few friends of mine would come up with choreography. We even performed and did some behind the scenes dancing for some of his shows. So it was a really cool experience just watching him thrive and just be in a space where you can tell he was truly happy with what he was doing.
What's real strange, I really don't remember when he sort of got attracted to music, but later on I did realize that he was writing lyrics. I would, as I reflect back, I think it had to do with the onset of rap music, and somehow that kind of intrigued him and got his interest, and he started listening a lot.
Rap was hard for my generation. But as he became more and more involved in it, it really became interesting. And actually listening to his lyrics and watching him do videos became really of interest and brought me up to current times with young people. So I think his being around him, being involved in music, and of course he knows I love music, so old school music was just part of who I was. It just kind of became a good blend.
One thing about Jelani is he always walked around with a notebook, and not the notebook that had the cover on it. He would walk around with a yellow legal pad and a pen at all times. So he would just be sitting in the corner or sit on the couch somewhere, always jotting down lyrics, or he would pause and write down some lyrics somewhere. But he's always just been in that creative mindset of anything in the environment or anything that comes to him, he's going to jot it down. Now, that is something that I think most people would recognize about him as he was growing up or as he's been progressing in music, is that he's always had that yellow notebook. Probably had it at work, knowing him. But yeah, he's always had that to be able to get his thoughts down on paper. I've been to the studio with him a couple of times. Again, I was younger, so I didn't really know what I was watching, but he's been serious about music since as long as I can remember, but that's what I remember most, is that yellow notepad.
So Jelani spent a lot of time during his, I would say, early 20s, even teenage years, really pursuing his music career. And then fast forward, he became a dad and got into a relationship when he got married, and very, very proud, and I commend him for putting his family first and putting his love for music to the side in order to be a good dad, a good husband, and a good provider. So I don't think he ever lost his passion for it, and that's evident just in his desire to still do some aspects of it, support other artists, even pursue still his own musical journey with his own songs and videos, but there was a time when he truly made that really hard decision of putting his family first, and so I totally commend him for that, and I know his family greatly benefited from that choice as well.
The passion for music actually came from growing up. My pops had a DJ booth in the basement at our old house, and he had a record collection ranging from R&B to jazz to rock, everything you can name. And I just remember, whether it was basement parties and them playing the music and me getting to hear it, or just me being down there curious and kind of going through the records and playing music when I had time to do it. And I just developed an interest and a passion, and I just love music. So we're talking about me being 6, 7 years old. I can remember just always being into music because that's what we had in the house for me to be exposed to. And so it's just something that fortunately for me carried over into adult life. And when hip hop really became a thing, at school and stuff like that, I just remember that being a way of interacting and communicating, with my peers and everybody trying to see who could come to school with the latest or, heard something that maybe others hadn't heard. And so again, that led to that inquisitive and curiosity in me to just kind of explore. And, wasn't really talented as a singer, not so much even as a musician, but rap was something that I felt like I could do. And so it's just something that I really got interested in. And as I grew up, I continued to be more passionate and interested in doing it. And it's just carried over into adult life.
So have you found it like difficult or hard to like, cause you're doing so many things and then so much has been happening since, in the past couple of years for you, like, have you found it hard to manage your time or to get time to put into the project?
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those things where I'm considered a workaholic. I mean, if I'm not doing this, I'm doing that. I think it was just a matter of kind of redirecting my energy and my focus back to music because I lost the passion for it for a long time. I lost the desire to do it in terms of really trying to make it a potential career opportunity. I would just go into the lab occasionally, record songs just to kind of scratch an itch, so to speak. But I really didn't have any direction. I wasn't even really sure that this was something that was feasible for me anymore, But I think I've kind of gotten into a rhythm, kind of gotten into a routine where I can manage myself. So, my first priority is still raising my daughter. I got a 2-year-old, I'm a single parent. That kind of it trumps everything else. But I've kind of developed a system now where I can incorporate all of these things in. And if anything, she's kind of a motivator for me to try this again, just kind of putting things in perspective and seeing that if I can create a better opportunity for her through this. I mean, if I'm not doing this, I'm going to be doing something else. I consider myself a natural born hustler. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to make something happen for myself. But it would be nice if I can make something happen for myself and do something that I'm passionate about. So,
as a result of Jelani having a great talent and an interest into rap and dealing with the times and always trying to be positive, I was a program director for the National Cares Mentoring Movement, Harlem Rising. And we did assemblies. And one of the things for the assembly was, what does success mean to you? And I invited him to come in. He spoke to about 300 students, took pictures with them. They loved it. They loved his video. They loved his message. And he had a positive impact on those students at the time of the assembly. And as a result of that, sparked the interest in some other students into dealing with rap. We ended up having a little rap club at the school, and they always referenced him and his Manhood Productions for his video that he did.
As mentioned before, I am a rap artist as well as a producer and owner of Manhood ENT. And I've been doing this for a very long time, but only recently have I come to appreciate the journey. And I want all of you to know that you're gonna have a journey. You can have a good journey, you can have a bad journey, but ultimately you will have a journey. And it's up to you to make the right decisions to make that journey as smooth as possible. But keep in mind that obstacles will come your way, things will happen. And you have to be able to maneuver those things. So starting out, I just wanted to be, when I was your age, I just wanted to be a star, a superstar. It didn't matter how, I just wanted to be a superstar. So as I got into making music, I felt like, well, I'm talented. I'm just gonna do what I do, and somebody's gonna discover me, and then from there, who knows what's gonna happen. The problem is, when I first got into music, I was so focused on being the most talented that I didn't take the time to educate myself on the music business, on how it works. So as a result of that, I always needed somebody else there to do the grunt work for me. In other words, I was putting my future in the hands of somebody else because I didn't take the time to educate myself about the things that I needed to know. Now, along the way, I will say I've had the opportunity to tour, I've had the opportunity to perform on stages, both big and small, but I could have been a lot more had I realized early on how important it was for me to understand what it was I really wanted to do and how I needed to get there. So once I realized that and started really learning the business, things got a lot better for me, started progressing. A lot of the artists, especially from Chicago that you're familiar with, I guarantee you we crossed paths at one time or another. Along the way, I got married. Good thing. We found out we were about to have our first child. Also good thing. Unfortunately, due to medical issues, we were told that our child had less than a 50% chance of making it into this world. So now I had to take a step back and evaluate. I had to reprioritize because as a man, manhood ENT, my first priority is to take care of family. So I had to do what was necessary to make sure that my wife had the best chance of delivering this child into the world. So I did that. That meant working 2 jobs. That meant working 70 hours a week while still mapping out my plans to pursue my dream as far as music goes. By the grace of God, our daughter was born healthy with no issues at all. I was very thankful for that. So in my mind, now we're back to business as usual. Now I can do my thing. Unfortunately, 6 weeks after my daughter was born, my wife found out that she had cancer. So now as a result of that, once again, I have to reevaluate my position, I have to reevaluate my situation. I have to do what I have to do to take care of family first while still trying to pursue my dream. The next couple of years were pretty rough, and a week before my daughter's 2nd birthday, my wife died of cancer. I don't know if you could paint a more difficult scenario than that. And I could have easily quit. I could have easily thrown in the towel. But looking at this 2-year-old daughter of mine, I had a renewed sense of responsibility because now it's not just about me, now it's about her. So after getting myself back together, I began to map out a new plan because despite everything I had gone through, this wasn't the time to quit. As a matter of fact, now I have experiences that are driving me. Now I can put a plan into place and use all of the things that I've learned to become successful. So I started my own company, no more relying on anybody else. My success was about the decisions I was going to make and about empowering myself. Every last one of you, I'm sure it has talents, has dreams, has aspirations. And while collaborations are good, while opportunities will come, some won't, ultimately it's up to you to put your future in your hands. You're still the driving force. No one can want it for you. No one can want it more than you. And no one's going to take care of your dream and protect it better than you can. So as a result of this understanding, the last year has easily been the most successful that I've had. I've been able to release projects worldwide that have critical acclaim. You can go out to Google, you can go out to YouTube. I guarantee you're going to find something on Jelani Latif out there, particularly the last project that I put out. So I'm thankful for that. But more importantly, I'm thankful now for the opportunity to do what I'm doing today, which is talking to all of you, which is to try and be encouraging, which is to let you know that despite the most stressful and the most difficult obstacles, there is opportunity for you to succeed. So when I think of what success means to me now, success means first, being able to take care of my family. Second, being able to have a positive influence on the lives of others. Because we all influence each other. It can be positive, it can be negative. I prefer it to be a positive influence on the lives of others. And all of this while being able to do what I enjoy. So I'm thankful for the opportunity that I have now. I look back on what I've gone through, and I definitely wish things could have happened differently, but that's just how life works. But regardless of what the situation is, success is in your hands, and there's nobody in this room that isn't capable of succeeding. Thank you.
You can about to dig it up.
What's the problem with this?
Mm-hmm. Ready? Tap it for me now. Nope. There you go.
Okay.
As far as writing process goes, I go through different phases because time is not always on my side. So I'll go through a period where I'm just doing nothing but writing. So it may not even necessarily be song concept, just thoughts and ideas or just bars. You know, it may be a couple of phrases here and there, and I'll just jot them down. And then over time, I accumulate, you know, this massive amount of material. And then I'll start kind of going through it and trying to flesh out songs. So I'll go through a phase where I'm strictly doing the writing piece. Then I'll go through a phase where now I'm putting or composing songs. And then I'll go through a phase where I'm strictly working on beats. And then eventually I'm able to say, okay, for these beats that I made, which songs or which lyrics that I've written before might be a good fit with it. And that's kind of how the songs come together. Sometimes I'll even just record something to a basic break beat or just a drum track, and then I'll go back later and I'll actually build a song around it. If I hear something or if I come up with an idea that I feel may fit with those lyrics. So that's just kind of the process that I've learned to adapt to because the time not really being on my side to just sit for hours, make a beat, then try to write something to it and hopefully record a song.
So this is the first official release from my own company, Manhood ENT. Prior to that, I had dropped a couple of promo projects, Summer Madness and Battle Tested, and both of them did pretty well, but this is the first official release. So the title, My Soul to Keep, has a double meaning. Soul first meaning musically, sonically, the direction I went, that real groove, melodic element to it. But the other meaning for soul, meaning me bearing my soul, my inner self, being more personal with the album, talking about topics that are kind of near and dear to me. For example, like being a single father, which is not a common topic that you hear spoke of on a rap song or just in hip hop in general. And so songs like Forward Advance, the title track, My Soul to Keep, even a song like the outro to My Soul to Keep are me just sharing personal experiences, inner thoughts, and things like that.
So My Soul to Keep was the first project that I released and put out on my own label / production company. So this was after coming out of doing group collaboration things, me being a manager and a producer for others, and sort of being back to square one and deciding to build around myself basically. And so, you know, coming out of some of the situations that I came out of, not even just musically, but just in life in general, all of that went into creating that first project. So it was a collaboration, shout out to my man MNG, where he did a lot of, or all of the production or the initial beats for it, and then I kind of came behind and crafted them into songs. So I was able to, on that project, focus on the writing piece, and then when we put everything together, that's when I went ahead and released it independently on my own label. So that project will always be important and sentimental to me because it was the first one that I released in the new independent space. Prior to that, it was about trying to get a deal, trying to get, whether it was a production company, whether it was with a major label, independent label, whatever the case may be. But this was the first time me saying, okay, let me see what I can accomplish on my own with my own production company / label and see what can come out of it. So pretty sentimental project, something that I always go back to and really can appreciate everything that went into it. And it's when I started to really develop a stronger.
See, I'm all about a forward advance. If you really wanna ride, I'ma show you the plan. You haters wanna try, well, you know where I am. Bring your your soldiers, let's ride. Cause you the one that's ready to die. See, I'm all about a forward advance. If you really wanna ride, I'ma show you the plan. You haters wanna try, well you know where I am. Bring your soldiers, let's ride, cause you the one that's ready to die. Supreme mind with the walk of a king. I fiend rhyme like the R and grind for a buzz like cheap wine. Meantime, still touching paper. Step away from running capers, cause the weight of the world can frustrate you. But I'm standing up straighter, the misunderstood. Trying to shake the bad spirit I carry like Underwood. While they label me a monster, I'm able to conquer. Try to stay away from vodka, it was making me bonkers. Iron fist still swing with a sting. Ears ring, not a faker, cause real music do real things. I bring heat to the sauna, love it or leave it, but I'ma guarantee a classic less I'm underachieving, thieving the charts cause I'm still in hearts. Verbal mass murder, Langston Hughes with a touch of Nat Turner. Yeah, now it's time to go further.
For Forward Advance, well, let me step back and say my Soul to Keep period is very autobiographical in nature. It was just me reflecting on some experiences and things I had gone through and putting all of that into that project. The song Forward Advance was me sort of declaring that I'm not going to dwell on the past, I'm not going to live in the past, but rather start thinking about the future and sort of distancing myself from some of the things or even some of the individuals that in the past I felt really were kind of holding me back from accomplishing what I wanted to accomplish. So that's what Forward Advance is about. It's about that forward motion. It's about understanding that you've gone through things, but being more optimistic and focused on the future. And so that's kind of what inspired that song, as well as the video where I incorporated, you know, wife and daughter into the whole thing. So really making it where it's true to who I was and where I was at that point in my life.
She asked me how I shine without the jewelry. I told her take her time and get her mind around the fury, cause you's about to witness something different. I told you before, you didn't listen. Now I'm about to duct tape your brain just to stick to the plan. You hold the mic, I hold the gift in the hand, but I'm committed. These other niggas hit it and ran. I had a visit in my dreams, I was told. These other rappers talk about the money, you talk about the soul. Now behold, the boldest attempt to make a dent. This is real resurrection, injected with perfection. I tried to play along with the rest, but I was wrong. With my daughter in my lap, I was out to write a song about the bullets I was lodging in the dome. I guess that I was out of my mind, but honey, I'm home to fix the sink and put some fresh paint on the walls. If anybody tries to intrude, then pray for us all, yeah.
After finishing My Soul to Keep, it was just a huge load off. I think it took about 2 years to fully complete that project, even though maybe if I shrunk it down and just said, okay, the time that was actually spent writing it may not have been nearly that long, but coming back to songs and trying to touch them up, trying to make sure that it was the right combination of songs, the right combination of vibes and feelings and messaging even. I'd say it took about 2 years to get all of that together, you know, get an album cover, get all of the things that come into creating a project. And so when I got to the point where it was done, it was just a huge load off, something that I could look at and really be proud of, but also be grateful that now I can kind of take maybe a little bit of break from the creative process and now focus on other aspects like the marketing, the promotion, the videos, and doing all of those things. And so, yeah, it was just a huge load off, a burden lifted, something that I said, okay, I set out to do this, I actually accomplished it. So I had that, that moment.
Oh boy. That's what he was saying when he was in that old room. Oh boy. Do it like Hillary. Oh boy. Oh boy. I need a debrief. Oh boy. We're gonna debrief you. Oh boy. Close the door. I'm about to debrief. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy.
I think his pause was primarily due, and this was later on in life, I don't know about earlier, when he became a family man. And that being said, I think family man, meaning that he had his priorities in order, and he knew that he had to provide for his children.
So today, I think Jelani, when it comes to his music, is at a space where I would just say musical freedom. He is beyond that phase of doing what he loves to do to please others, and he's at a place where it's really about pleasing him. It's a space for him to just really express himself, things that are in his head and on his heart, and be able to bring them out musically. And I think that's the space of freedom for him, because he's not really worried about what other people think. He's just happy letting music guide him and be his escape. But also that joy that he's always had as a child. And so now he gets to do it at his own pace, the way he wants to do it. And I think that's the most freeing thing about being a creative.
He's quiet. He has, when he makes up his mind, he has a commitment to something, he carries it through. He's a very decent and respectful person, well-mannered.
Jelani hasn't changed. He's still very just chill, very even keeled. Nothing gets him out of his element. He loves his family. He is a great father. He is a great husband. He's an amazing brother. But he still finds time to be able to live out his passion, which is music. So whether that is him recording a video or listening to different songs and creating beats or whatever the case is, he's always going to find a way to do that, because that's something that he's passionate about.
Now Jelani has become a very mature adult. He's taken on a lot of responsibilities. His children love him to death. He's still energetic. He still likes to write. He's still involved in the music. His creativity to me has blossomed from when he was a child, and from when he had those experiences that he had that had him just express himself. So I would say that he's become more expressive with how he feels about the times, himself, his family, in his music. And he's doing quite well. I'm extremely proud of him. And if you go on YouTube, you can see a lot of his productions.
I think he's in a good position with his music, but it's more on a personal basis as opposed to professional. He still loves music. And as I said earlier, he would never go anywhere without his notepad. He had a ledger pad. Wherever he went, we could go anywhere, and he had it in his possession. So he was constantly creating lyrics and music and scripts and things of that nature when he was younger. So I believe that he still has that passion for it. I think that now he's evolved into an adult male who has his priorities in order, and his family is first and foremost, but I think music certainly is a close second.
I don't think I'll ever lose interest in making music. I don't think that passion will ever go away. As far as actually recording and putting stuff out, that can be something that can be a little bit challenging when you're trying to wear different hats and manage different aspects of life. So unfortunately for me, this isn't something that was able to translate into, this full-time profession where, I can just focus solely on that. And then that's the way that I'm able to pay the bills and do all the other things I have to do. So I have to manage that, as well as, working, as well as, taking care of a family, being a father of 4, all of those responsibilities kind of come into play. And so unfortunately, it's not necessarily a loss of passion as much as just having to focus attention on doing other things at that point in time, and then coming back to music when I'm able to. So the passion never really goes away as far as just loving music and loving creating music. Now, where things can get a little tricky sometimes is having the time commitment to be able to really go in and do it. And so the creative process sometimes can be stunted because now I'm focusing on things on this side. And so there's just not that time to really catch a vibe, to really lock in and try to create something. although I'll be listening to something else somebody else made, an old song, new song, whatever the case may be, and I may get inspired to try to start doing something, but ultimately, you know, it's just a balancing act. It's just, that's how life goes. It's a project I have coming out soon called Work-Life Balance. So it's really me just kind of speaking to trying to walk that line, trying to make sure that I have the opportunity or space to still be creative and do the things like that that I really love and I'm passionate about. But at the same time, being mindful and being aware and being responsible and understanding that I'm responsible for taking care of others. And so that's always going to have to be the priority over creating.
Hip hop, you gotta be in the right place, the right time, with the right look, the right age, the right gimmick.
But it didn't seem like it used to be like that to me when I was a kid.
It used to be about being an individual. Now it's about sounding like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's sad though, man. It's hard to be your own self, you know.
Yeah. For every Easy was a Chuck D, you know, it was positive, it was gangster, it was all that. Now it's just this one sound that they trying to
What is most
beat over people's heads, man.
Huh? Your sound is like hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Conscious.
Got a message?
Yeah. But I'm more aggressive now than I used to be because I gotta yell to get heard now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you gotta be real commercial.
But it's still, it ain't commercial.
No, it's not commercial.
But it's opening doors and it's making people recognize.
Well, see, that's the
So music for me is not necessarily something, or should I say hip hop is not something I do, it's something I am. So I'll always feel connected to and feel a part of, you know, hip hop culture, creativity, art, music, and things like that. But as far as where it's going to eventually go, as far as how successful, as far as how much notoriety I could or could not, you know, maybe won't get out of this, it's kind of hard to say. So for me, I guess I call it a professional hobby. Because when I do it, I'm doing it seriously. It's not something that I take lightly or as a joke or that I do just for fun. I'm actually committed to creating pieces of art that have some relevancy that I could actually put out and hopefully inspire other people. But at the same time, I wouldn't say it's my full-time profession, full-time passion. You know, still working, still doing other things, still have other income streams, income revenues, investments, property, all of those things are going on at the same time. So for me, I guess if I could sum it up, I would call my place in music and what music means to me now as a professional hobby.
This is Jay Fury, King of Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't with him, ain't with me, ain't with him, you ain't with T. It's a rap. It's a rap.
I guess now that I have the opportunity to look back, one of the first things I would say to a younger self is that it is definitely a marathon and not a sprint. And what I mean by that is sometimes we go into this business, or people go into this business and they're looking for that instant gratification, that immediate turnover or turnaround, I should say, of success. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way, at least not for everybody. If you're in the right place at the right time with a little bit of luck on your side, I guess you could be what they call an overnight success. But I would say for the majority of people, it's something that you invest in now and you expect the reward to come, you know, much later. So that's one of the things I would definitely tell a younger version of myself is patience is very important because things are not going to happen or not always going to happen right away. But if it's something you really feel in your heart that you're good at and you're passionate about, then I think it's worth the wait. It's worth the commitment. It's worth the investment as far as time goes to see where things are going to end up. The other thing I would definitely tell myself, and this has been said many times before, but until you're actually doing it, it doesn't necessarily resonate, but it is definitely a business. What that means is all the talent in the world is not going to guarantee success for you. You have to be understanding of the business aspect of it, making sure that all your affairs are in order, whether it's publishing and copyrights and all of those things. If you're going to collaborate or do any types of deals with others, you want to make sure that the business is in order and that there is some benefit to you. So how many people have we heard about, read about, where they get into these deals and then years later they're unhappy, they're unsatisfied, they've been cheated, and now they're trying to fight to get their ownership back or get what they believe is owed to them. And I think that if you keep those things in mind in the beginning, understanding you will have to probably sacrifice something depending on what place you're in and who you're surrounded by. But at the same time, regardless, just remember it is a business. So you can't let the love of it outweigh the business acumen, because others are going to take advantage of it. If they see you and they think, okay, this person, all they want to do is show up and perform and rap and create, and they want all of the things that come with popularity and fame, then they're going to be the ones thinking about the business side, because obviously you're being a little neglectful in that area. So another thing that I would tell myself is that it's still a business, and so if this is something you're really serious about doing it, then learn it, understand it, and be prepared for whatever could come your way, because there are people out there whose full-time thing is to try to be taking advantage of you, and that's something that you don't want to happen. Ownership is important. Collaborations are important. Having good business people around you that have your best interest at heart is important, but you have to look out for yourself ultimately, and so it's on you to make sure that your business affairs are in order.
If you're feeling my vibe, you need to stop on. You look good, mama, don't be shy, you need to stop on. Yeah, if this music here is getting you high, you need to stop on. Check it out. Navigate smooth, make moves, avalanche and fake crews. Stay tuned, classic debut, about to break through. Honey wanna shake too? Let the rhythm aid you. Later hit me up, Remy Cup got me straight through. Bugging off a nut. Track flame like a Bunsen. Tap dames out for hunting. Rap game out to run it, coming straight out the hundreds. You lames talking nothing, chatterbox down the homie Trey got the hammer cock. Tough talk, not really. Used to playing Pop Willie. Took my first pull of Mary Jane and got silly. Had to grow up. Time to get money, get married, God willing. Pray my people stop killing. Meantime, self-focus. I saw a sign reading hip-hop, help wanted. My resume is full, getting charged like a raging bull. Ready for the conflict. Rapping's more than murderers, dope heads and convicts. You can bounce if you like. You bump it in your whip and make it pound if you like. And when I rhyme, I can break it down if you like. You feeling what I feel, say it loud if you like. Yeah, hold tight. You can bounce if you like. You bump it in your whip and make it pound if you like. And when I rhyme, I can break it down if you like. You feeling what I feel, say it loud if you like. Yeah, hold